Sorry about that. At least I got some exercise.
No, that was good. So how is it going up there? I believe you're already beginning to experience a bit of summer weather, or it's just spring?
Oh, I wish it was -3 this morning. So it was sunny, but it's been unseasonably cold. So but it was a brilliant morning this morning. The sun was out and went for a walk, cleared my head after 12 hours of screen time yesterday. So
Yeah, actually, I
and
realize
how is
it's beginning to affect my eyes, and
yeah
and actually, just so that you know, the camera is already rolling.
okay.
And but these days I'm unable to actually read things that are closer to my eyes. But I think it's just because of the screen. So I'll need to check in
Great.
with a doctor and see maybe what I need to do for my eyes.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. So
But
very good.
feel the discussion that I wanted to actually have is a discussion that you already know in an organic fashion. I wanted us to actually have a quick discussion around what COVID-19 means to you in Canada, and but most importantly, what Learning for Humanity is doing in other parts of the world in responding to issues around COVID-19. I am privileged with the fact that I know quite a bit about Learning for Humanity, but I'm more interested in what's happening to you right now as an organization. Mm-hmm. But again, what you are doing in other parts of the world. I mean, I know you're doing some work in Zambia, you're doing some work in Zimbabwe, you're engaging with the government of Ethiopia. Of course, the bigger part of what you're doing is in Kenya right now. I think I wanted us to actually just have a bit of a conversation around that, but maybe you could start with what Learning for Humanity is doing in other countries, and also what it is like for you in Canada. I mean, I remember I was with you in Waterloo at the beginning of COVID-19 spread. That is early part of March. So maybe you could just give us a bit of a brief on how it is in Canada for you.
Right. Well, we recognize that people are struggling globally here in Canada and in Kenya. For Learning for Humanity in Canada, our headquarters, we have all successfully moved to remote offices so that we can continue to work. And because of the fact that e-learning is an essential service with all of the children at home here in Canada and globally, we continue to we're working harder than ever to meet the demand from countries that we're working within, and new countries as well.
Yeah, I mean, for new countries, I know you'll mention a few that you're in that have expressed interest to actually engage with you. But I'm aware that with your online platform, you are already engaging a number of schools in Zimbabwe, a number of schools in Zambia. And also, you are doing some work in Kenya. And what is it like? What are some of the responses? Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, thank you. As we all know, the schools are officially closed in Kenya and in the other countries that have been mentioned. At the same time, the children are at home with their parents looking for e-learning platforms and solutions. So at the current time, during COVID-19, we're working with telecoms to offer our Tisitawi e-learning platform directly to children and parents who are at home. And in fact, we have also provided specific material for grades 1 through 3 for parents to work through with their young children during this time. These materials were created specifically by very qualified teachers in early childhood education. So they should be quite impactful, useful during the home life. As I mentioned, the schools are closed in Zimbabwe, Zambia, Kenya, Liberia, in fact, and Ethiopia. But what we've been able to do is move the e-learning platforms to purely online from an in-school platform to provide access that way.
Yeah, and I know that that's one of your strengths, because it is important that learning continues in and out of school. And I think the thought for Learning for Humanity to actually develop to Sitawi that actually has a dual access in its platform makes a lot of sense. And you didn't just do this for COVID. This is the way you had been providing access to content before COVID, both in school
correct
and out of school.
Correct. And so we had approached the marketplace originally by providing an in-school solution that was not dependent on internet access for performance reasons, for cost reasons, and especially for reliability reasons. Our number one product offering in the countries mentioned has been an in-school solution that's really an autonomous unit that provides the reliability, the day-to-day reliability for teachers and the students, something that we had seen was missing. While we were developing that and deploying that and having very successful installations in different countries around the world, we're also developing the concept of synchronization of the online platform, so the pure internet access to the in-school platforms. And so we have that available now so that students can access to Sitawi from school or at home and actually have it look like a single product offering that's very well integrated. And the main thing is that it's just always available for students and teachers and administrators to access.
You know, one of the things that I've always found amazing with your platform is the fact that you do have a lot of material in the context of content that is available to educators and learners. And we always talk about 40,000 pieces of content that is available on your platform, and that's great. I think one of the critical strengths around that is that the aspect of local content that actually also finds its way onto your platform, and this is local content that has been approved by country-specific or respective countries' curricula or approval agencies. Like in Kenya, for example, I know you do have content from publishers that has already been approved by Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, and that is critical because in many instances we talk about these platforms that maybe are developed from without, and when they come here, they have foreign and strange content that is not necessarily doesn't speak to the local curriculum. But that's really something that you are doing slightly differently. But mention something about the content that you have, but also the process that you actually go through to curate that content and make it available. And in what context is it available? Is it free content? Is it open content? Is it proprietary content? Is it available for at a cost? And all of that, maybe before we go granular onto the project you're running in Kenya.
right? So a lot in that, and from the very beginning of Learning for Humanity, we are all about local content, local presence in countries where we operate. So in Zambia, we have an office with 3 people there, staff there that includes teachers and support, and also the managing director there. They give us a local context, local value, relevancy on what the curriculum is in Zambia. We have the same occurring in Zimbabwe and also in Kenya, staff that includes teachers and educators who are able to bring local content mixed with international open education resources, or OER, and that's also mixed in with ministry approved copyrighted books, which all 3 items and more combine to Satawi impactful and a great value as well. So for depending on the grade, there's a cover price of between $50 and $80 US of actual book per, as well as the resources and the local resources there. So we're very much about having the Canadian office support the local office in each country. And that kind of support is technical in nature, but with respect to content, we have quite a number of experienced content curators to assist pulling resources from the world, going around the world, going through those, and then matching them up to the Kenya Ministry of Ed's curriculum very specifically. So this is not a Canadian solution. It's very much a Kenyan solution available to Kenyan teachers and students.
Absolutely, and that is why you know that I do have a very keen interest in this. And I think that the other component to your platform is the element that enables, or let me call it a module, that enables teachers, local teachers or teachers in Kenya or in any other country to actually be able to capture and upload content that you then can, with your team, curate and make available to other learners. And I think that to me is a critical ingredient of your platform.
Our platform is very much a framework that facilitates the local educator and the local student as well. And so, as you have mentioned, it's very much part of our system that we provide the tools that teachers can use and make them their own and make the platform their own. We give a baseline of guided learning, which we haven't mentioned yet, but is very much part of the platform. And also the thousands and thousands of resources that are there can be added to by the teacher by going out and taking video, or finding a book themselves that they want to upload, or if they want to write original lesson plans and lesson notes for the students, then that's completely available within the platform as well, which makes it all the more powerful.
Actually, I should have mentioned that earlier on we were having some bit of challenges with connectivity, but that's not really something you or I can solve now. Everybody appears to be rushing and running onto Zoom. I thought that around this hour it would be a little bit better, but because you know, no, on your part, you know, you guys have just woken up. So in Canada, everybody now is consuming bandwidth. In
Correct.
Kenya, it's
Yes.
about it's close to about 10:30 in the night.
Mm,
So we would have slightly better connectivity here because people are moving into the space of going to bed. But then you guys have just woken up, and so everybody
right.
has rushed to Zoom. So that's slightly part of the
Right.
reason we are having a bit of a lag. But Phil,
Correct.
I don't know to what extent you might want to mention something about what Learning for Humanity is actually currently doing in Kenya to respond to COVID-19 situation and to to help relieve parents, teachers, and learners of the current stress they have in terms of accessing content or even doing something close to what I would consider online learning or maybe even remote learning. And the partnerships actually you are already building with the local telcos. Some of them have already signed up. Some of them you are actually having quick discussions around with
Yes.
to be able to actually get your platform and make it available to the Kenyan child, the Kenyan teacher, and the Kenyan educator. And that's part of the reason I've had a keen interest in actually having this conversation with you.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. We're very proud to have partnered with Jammy Telecommunications Limited, and they are in fact making Tisatawi available from their platform, from their all of their tools. They're a fantastic partner, a native Kenyan company, and we're looking forward to providing Tisatawi out through their entire platform, not to just to their customers, but to anyone who would like to subscribe to Tisatawi through the Jammy website. And so we'll be making announcements very soon about how to access that. And we look forward to moving past a pilot stage to a general product offering to all students who and teachers and parents who are at home with internet and a digital device for access.
Phil, I would encourage you to actually move a little bit faster on that project because it is it's stressful here. Myself
Yeah.
being a parent, and I think that this is really the time, in my view, that online learning, e-learning, remote access to education and access to educational material and content is extremely important. And this is going to be so going forward, whereby I don't see a situation whereby anybody will actually attempt to roll back uh, the the efforts around making online learning, access to online material, uh, uh, a, a, a priority. And I expect that every government will actually take this up and be able to make it a priority in terms of program offering and or access to education. Um, there's just
Agreed.
no
Agreed.
way around it. There's no shortcut to it, and I think that if you're still in the pilot stage, it would be very useful that actually you accelerate deployment for public access.
The good news is that pilot is probably a little bit too soft in the fact that it's already gone out to 1,000 initial users
Yeah. Wow.
for access there.
Yeah.
So it is pilot, but it's actually gone out past what we would call alpha and beta tests to an actual production platform at this point. So we're literally days away from making this available to a lot larger population. Just to pick up as well on what you had mentioned there, one of the overused terms right now is the new normal, but it is very much true in the fact that governments, ministries of ed, global players such as UNESCO are looking towards COVID-19 and beyond with respect to what's going to be required for the decentralization of schools. or we could say universal access to education in light of pandemics or other natural or man-made disasters.
Yep.
So with respect to the solutions that are brought forward right now, we have been contacted by quite a number of agencies and NGOs who are
Yep.
looking for solutions that make sense now to answer COVID-19 demands, but also have solutions that naturally permutate or progress into what is available after COVID-19 and is well integrated into the existing school systems with contingency of the students and or teachers being able to keep going if the school needs to be closed. That's a long statement, but that's what the world is focused on at this point.
You know, Phil, I will keep my opinions out of our discussions for tonight. But COVID-19 has no off button, and we're going to actually live with it going forward to the extent that it's still going to be there. But I also want to sound a bit optimistic. All I'm saying, and the reason I'm actually making that comment, is that people need to know that it's no longer going to be it's not, we will not have things the way we used to have them. And I didn't want to use the easy term of business as usual. This is not even a business as usual. This is something that is not just a game changer, because again, a game changer appears like it is something that we were doing and then we were changing. This is the way we would have to actually move forward. I mean, yesterday I was talking to one of the professors and we were talking about fourth industrial revolution that has now been actually accelerated by COVID-19. And that's just the reality. I mean, technology is with us and it's here to stay. And I'm pleased that at least in Kenya, yesterday, our minister or cabinet secretary for education and the leadership put together a team to begin looking at how do we manage schools in the future with the current situation that we find ourselves in. And that must happen in every country. That must happen with every government, and people just need to look into that. But when we are talking of platforms like Tusitawi, the online learning platforms like Tusitawi that offers this rich amount of content that is available and has been curated by experts. It should be that these are sort of the things that we actually quickly look into and figure out how we can deploy such rapidly and broadly to our populations, because no matter what, that is partly where we need to focus. And so any country that is looking at opening up the education system, whether in schools or out of schools, can never think of life after COVID, if there's anything like that, without technology. And to me, technology is now number one thing. And that is what has actually drove me to actually have this discussion with you. I mean, like I said, I have my opinions about COVID-19 and what's happening and all of that. But when it comes to education, there is no this or that opinion. Technology rules. And we have to actually embrace technology in education like yesterday. And my message to countries around the world is embrace this. As you well know, I was in your country at the early part of March, and then I was also in New York, and I saw the problems that parents were having. So it's not just basically a problem in Kenya or in Africa, but
correct. It's global. Very global.
and people need to actually embrace this. And I also want to see how parents or educators in Canada and in North America and South America and Asia and Africa are actually embracing platforms like actually to drive education using technological platforms like Tusitawi. But Phil, I don't want to keep you for long. I know that you have a team that is waiting for you. You're working on a project for Ethiopia. That's great. We'll also get an opportunity to actually talk about Ethiopia. We'll also get an opportunity to talk about Zambia and Zimbabwe. But at least for tonight, I was being a little bit biased to actually hear a little bit more of what Learning for Humanity through your Tusitawi platform is doing in Kenya. But maybe some few thoughts from you, if you would care to share before we end this discussion.
No, very much so. It is a great responsibility to be in education at this point in world history. We embrace it at Learning for Humanity as being able to have a positive impact in the world, in Canada and in Kenya and other parts of the world in which we can work, and to be able to provide some continuity in learning for students, and to also empower teachers to be able to do their jobs. So thank you very much for the questions, and we're looking forward to talking about some additional projects around the world that where we're having an impact as well. With respect to Kenya, we are a long ways down the road and are just thrilled at how we can have an impact to join Kenyan educators and parents and children on moving forward through this difficult time, but also into the future. So thank you very much.
But by the way, Phil, I just forgot. I think it is useful, especially for the Kenyan audience, to know that even before COVID-19, Learning for Humanity was already doing some work here in Mukuru,
sure,
and in one or two several other schools. I think it might be useful to actually mention that as you close.
I will do that. We're very pleased to be working at the Harambee Center in Mukuru kwa Njenga, and where over 3,000 children per month are able to use the facilities there in a sponsored way and to move their learning, their education forward. We're also working with Compassion International and have just finished a one-year proof of concept and are in the planning stages of doing a larger rollout. One of the fantastic things about the Compassion Project is the community aspect, community integration aspect of having Tusitawi available to not only the children, the beneficiaries, of Compassion, but even the high school students in the region using Tusitawi to advance their grades in the national exams. The last school that I'd like to talk about is Strathmore School, who have adopted Tusitawi as being core to their strategy in moving ahead. And in fact, we were right in the midst of doing teacher training for Tusitawi at Strathmore when schools were closed in Kenya, and we quickly responded to moving the Strathmore in-school system onto an online system for access by their teachers and students there, which was the long-term plan regardless, but we were happy to be able to accelerate their roadmap to make the system available. So we're down the road in Kenya, have a very feature-rich platform to offer, and we look forward to further conversations about it.
Great. Phil, for me, you can say good night, and for you, I can say, is it good afternoon?
Yeah, it's 3:35 here, Matthew.
Yeah, so you enjoy your afternoon as I look into how I can retire.
I guess so. So look, good to see you again too, Mark, and
Yeah,
we'll talk some more for sure.
great. Say hello to everyone, and we keep in touch.
And to you and to your family as well. God bless.
Bye bye.